Hello and welcome to Meet the Artist. I'm your host, Jessica Care-Moore, and on today's show, we'll meet three phenomenal Michigan artists. First up, Stephanie and Tyrone Dickey. They're a husband and wife team that come together to make creative, one-of-a-kind hats. And then you'll meet Mama Soul, MC, revolutionary mother, cancer survivor. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
If Usain Bolt represents Xfinity Internet, what happens when we double the speed on two of our most popular plans? Meet his twice-as-fast brother, Insane Bolt. Now stream movies and shows twice as fast. Xfinity, the fastest just got faster.
StefTy, the duo behind the very popular one-of-a-kind hats created right here in Detroit, has made their way to countries as far away as Denmark, fusing their love of sewing and the use of recycled materials to create their own beautiful hats. Hey, welcome to Meet the Artist. Thank y'all for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having us.
Time out of your evening. So let me just start with the name. Tell me I know it's Stephanie, so I'm assuming it's
Yeah. So it's a short for Stephanie and Tyrone.
Okay.
We've been in business for about 24 years. Okay. We started in Maryland and we kind of made our way across the country through New York and ended up here in Detroit.
You know, you're in this great space, the Collective.
Yeah, the Collective is an awesome space. It's an artist building. It's a Tudor mansion. Okay. It's Black owned. I enjoy being here. It's a great creative atmosphere. You know, you feed off of the other artists. It's nice and peaceful. The neighborhood is nice. You got a view of the river. You know.
Yeah. You're not gonna get that in Brooklyn, maybe.
Oh. No. No.
Yeah. You know, Detroit's a very special place for artists. And I'd love to hear your story about coming to Detroit and why do you stay here?
Well, I've been coming to Detroit since the late 90s. I started coming to Detroit like in 97.
Okay.
And just got fascinated with Detroit. Detroit is real funky. Yeah. Bunch of creative people here. And just, I just love Detroit, man. I love the energy. I love the city.
We had a customer base here already, you know, because when we were on the East Coast, we were selling out of stores here. We were selling wholesale to stores here, so we did come with a little bit of a market already, but it's been great, and people in Detroit are awesome.
And from an artist perspective, it's very affordable, unlike the East Coast or the West Coast, so you can actually do your craft and maintain a living, which both of us know coming from the East Coast, that's kind of hard.
Well, tell me about the craft, like what you're
right. Yeah,
you're designing.
Yeah, I'm the designer.
Yes.
And I learned my craft from my great-grandmother.
Okay.
You know, she was a dressmaker, and I grew up in her house. You know, because she raised children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren in her house. And all of the girls, we had to learn how to sew, how to knit, and how to crochet. Just to make sure all of us had a craft that we could use, to make a living as we were growing up. And so, most of my childhood memories are sitting in the floor and sorting buttons and, threading needles for her and leaving her, before I went to school so that she would have a lot of hand needles to use by the time I got home from school and that sort of thing. And so she was really good at promoting, the craft that I have. And she also taught me how to do patterns, how to make patterns from newspaper and all that kind of stuff, So I never actually went to school for design. So,
you're self-taught.
I was self-taught. Well, I was taught by her. I was taught by the best, So by the time I got to school, and in those days they were, when I was in high school, they were still teaching home ec classes. So you had to take sewing in school.
That's a class they need to bring back.
Yeah, I know, because people don't have those skills anymore. So I took home ec, but I already knew how to sew. So in the time it took everybody else to make their skirt, which was, the thing that you made as an A-line skirt. I made a skirt, I made a dress for my little sister, I made I made like 3 or 4 garments in the time it took everybody else to make their skirt because I already had the training from home, I already knew. So, it's something that I've always enjoyed, something that I've always wanted to, keep going. And I did the same thing that she did, which was I taught my children, I taught my grandchildren, You know, not that they use it because they're all boys and they got other plans, you know, so, but still,
But they know how to do it.
But, you know, they know how to do it, and so if push comes to shove, you lock them in the room and tell them they can't come out till they sell something, they're going to make something, right?
So did you start with clothes?
Yeah, I started with clothes, yeah. I did my own line of clothing. You know, I opened my first shop when I was 22. And I did mostly dressmaking and alterations for people, but I also did my own line, and I was putting on fashion shows in all the little church basements and, you know, all kinds of little clubs and here and there, and everybody kept saying, I was living in Annapolis in Maryland, so everybody kept saying, you need to go to New York. You know, because it was nothing, I mean, it was great entertainment, but they weren't shopping, you know.
They weren't buying.
They weren't buying, right. Right, so they kept saying, you need to go to New York. So that was my dream, you know, and my inspiration was the movie Mahogany. You know, oh, that was my dream. I was going to go, you know, except for certain parts of it, like the car scenes. But anyway.
Great film, though.
Yeah, but that was my vision, that I was going to be like her, and I was going to go to New York, and I was going to take 7th Avenue by storm, you know. So when, but I kind of put my dream on hold a little bit as I got, you know, I had 2 boys and raising kids, and I kept thinking to myself, you know, New York is not maybe the best place to raise little kids, you know. You're living in Maryland, and you know, you figure they need somewhere more stable, you know, with lots of trees and grass and kid stuff, you know. So I kind of put it off. And then after my first marriage broke up, you know, and then I ended up meeting Ty, and he kept saying, yeah, this guy right here. And this guy says to me, well, you really should go. You know, you should do it. Just do it. You know, we should do it. Yeah, so we ended up going to New York, needless to say.
You two went together?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that when StefTy became StefTy?
Yeah, that's when it became StefTy. Okay. Yeah, because I was designing under the name Stephanie before I met him.
Okay.
And then as we got together, we called it StefTy.
Okay.
Yeah, and we, you know, we went to New York on a shoestring and a dream and made it work. Yeah.
So tell me about that. What's it like to work together and you're a married couple and making art together? How does that work?
Man, wow. You know, it works really good.
Okay.
I mean, for us, but I can't speak for anyone else.
No, just speak for you.
Yeah. it works pretty good. I mean, you know, Steph, you know, is very creative, and so am I. And so we have our roles in it. You know, Steph is designing and making of the clothing, and Ty is marketing, getting out there, pushing it in front of people to get it sold. So, you know, we just kind of combine our talents and stay in our lane, you know, and it works. It's been 23 years.
That's amazing.
So, you know, we were talking about that the other day, how long we've been doing this and how many people we met along the way. And I thank God we still around, you know, because that's a long time for a small business, for just a husband and wife, you know.
You're watching Meet the Artist. Coming up next, more with StefTy.
And with Uverse, you can move your TV anywhere in the house.
We're happy with Xfinity. Why would we move the TV?
I don't know, but let me show you. Now, if you had the Uverse wireless receiver, you could take this anywhere. See? Anywhere you want.
Don't get duped by Uverse. Get the most entertainment on any device anywhere with Xfinity from Comcast.
Talk to me about hats. I mean, you obviously love hats.
Yeah,
I love hats.
I do too.
Your
I
hats
mean,
are
when I was
really
younger,
good.
I used to collect vintage hats.
Okay.
And I used to wear hats like all the time. You know, I really wore a lot of hats. And I really kind of got away from it. And then when I was in New York, I was doing my line of clothing. And I would do like little hats to go with outfits from time to time.
Okay.
And then I started making hats to fit over my locks because I used to have locks. And you know, you really can't find, you know, you can't buy a hat that will fit over your hair once you know, start growing your locks out. So I said, well, I'm gonna make a couple for myself, and then I started making more. And then Ty would take them and sell them in Harlem on 125th Street. You know, so he would leave the house with a bag full of hats, you know. And that's really kind of how the hat thing kind of got started. And you know, once we moved back to Maryland, we opened a shop there, and we were doing a whole line of clothing, you know, at the StefTy line, and in addition to, you know, hats in addition to it. But then that was during the time when the economy started tanking, and people really didn't have money, you know, to spend for, you know, high-end clothing, you know. But they would pay for a hat, you know, even if they wouldn't pay for the clothes, you know, if they didn't have the money for clothing. And
find the money for the hat.
They would find the money for the hat, you know. And the hat is, I think, a hat too also is great because it's not a commitment. Like a whole outfit can be a commitment sometimes, you know. You could have the whole look going on, whereas a hat is just an accessory that you can take off. You know, if you get out somewhere and people are looking at you crazy and you're feeling uncomfortable, just take it off. You know? It's not like, you know, it's not like a commitment like a whole outfit is. And hats can go with a lot of different things. Yeah, a lot of different things. So that's where I get a chance to be creative and work with a lot of different textiles. And, you know, my focus lately has been on recycled textiles. So pretty much all the hats that I'm doing now are upcycled textiles. So they're either sample cuts from the decorators or places. I get fabrics from places like Arts and Scraps, which is a recycling center, or, you know, recycled jeans, recycled coffee bags, you know. Right, so, you know, because there's so much textile that goes into landfills that gets thrown away, you know. Even just from a couple of design firms that are here that give me samples, I get tons of stuff. So I can imagine, you know, all over the country, all these swatches of fabric are just getting tossed. Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's like tons and tons of textiles.
StefTy is doing? Is that something you use in your marketing?
Yeah. We're really trying to keep it, you know, keep it a green company. I very rarely buy new goods, you know, so I'm mostly working with recyclables.
That's awesome. Tell me what sets you apart from other designers? There's other hat designers out there. What makes you? I mean, your hats are very distinctive. But what makes you different?
I think it's mainly the combination of fabrics. And a lot of that comes from the fact that I'm working in recyclables, so I don't always get like yards of stuff. I get small pieces, you know. So sometimes I can only cut a piece of a hat out of it. I can't cut a whole hat out of it, you know. So that makes it so that, you know, I get to work with blending textures and colors and patterns. And that's actually something I really enjoy anyway, you know. So that really, you know, appeals to me. So that's something that's makes us a little different, you know. And then also because we have a little funk flavor to our hats. You think? Yeah, look, just a little, just a little.
Yeah, and Fiddler wears a lot of your.
You know, my hat's a little, you know, outside of the normal. But I do hats that are kind of tall, or, you know, have something funky on it. And they usually all have some type of ornament on it. Either it's a bow or a button, or, you know, and a lot of our ornaments are recycled too. I use pieces of belts and pieces of anything I can drill a hole in, pretty much.
Are any two hats alike?
No, none of them.
So if I had the hat I have on, there's no other hat like this.
So there may be more hats in that shape, but they're not going to be that fabric, and they're not going to have that bow on it. So you know, if you see somebody on the street and they have that hat on, they didn't took it from you.
Okay,
you know?
right.
It's like they stole your hat.
Tell me about what the future holds for you. Know, what are you working on now? Is the goal to stay independent and be intimate and be close to people and know your customers, or do you want to be in Macy's or department stores?
No, not necessarily Macy's or a department store, but I am taking this company global. You know, we're going into other countries. I mean, we're selling now small bits and pieces, but we really gotta do more, and then we're branching off into other things.
Tell me more about StefTy versus the Fashion Killer comic book.
Well, the comic book was really a crazy idea from the mind of Mr. Ty and Mr. Paul Pate. We kind of put that together, and what it basically is Steph and I animated to be these fashion fighters, which we're going from city to city, fighting this villain who is not fashion oriented, and we're trying to get rid of him and make the world a really funky place.
So I've been admiring this hat you're wearing that has your faces on it. Can you tell me about the hat?
Yeah, that hat was painted by Carla Harden. She was my intern a couple semesters ago, and she's a graduate of the College of Creative Studies. And she's an excellent artist. does beautiful work. But she did a painting of our faces on the hat.
So tell me, give me some advice, aspiring designer, person in marketing, how do you find a way to keep it going for over 20 years and make a living? Like, how do you do that?
Man, wow, that's a hard question.
You have to just be dedicated to. You have to never give up.
Truly never give up. And just follow your passion and your dream and just keep going. A lot of people will doubt you along the way. A lot of people will, oh man, that's crazy. They won't believe in it. And you just gotta keep going, and just pursue your dreams and your goals.
And there was another artist that gave me a good piece of advice, because over the years, in the course of 20 years, of course, you're going to have times when things are harder than other times, and then, and there's been lots of times when I said, I'm just not making another hat, that's it, I'm done. But there was another artist that kept telling me whatever. He said, even if you're depressed, even if you're not feeling like something, keep making stuff. He said, keep making work. And there has been times when I've just been like really, really not feeling it. And sometimes it shows up in the work, but, you'd be surprised that, people will still buy your work, even though you look at it and you say, oh my God, what is that? Right. Yeah, but this is, so I've kind of tried to follow that advice, to keep working, even when I don't feel like working, and keep doing it, because he said the main thing is you want to be prepared when the opportunity comes along. So maybe you're not having opportunities right now. So if the opportunity's coming around the bend and you don't have any work to show, then you're gonna miss it.
Hey, can you help me move?
Oh, you know what? I'm stuck at the office.
Hi, I'm moving.
No problem, sir. You can get your Xfinity services installed on the date you choose, or have a self-install kit sent to your new home.
Thank you.
Finally get some help moving. Call 1-855-MOVE-EDGE today.
Mama Soul's art is a reflection of her life and the lives of those from her hometown of Flint, Michigan. As an artist, she strives to enlighten, educate, and motivate people of all ages to embrace and make positive changes in their lives. Her story is one of survival and triumph.
When you're writing and reciting what you're wearing, what you're driving, and I teach you how to get it sucks. For a little kid dreaming to be you and has no clue of all your downs and your ups. Pitfalls, brick walls, bruises, and bumps. How you jumped over hurdles, pulled yourself out of slumps. Was once wearing their shoes, your feet grew. Amazing what some true words can do for the spirit of a listener that's wishing you would lift them up. Encourage them, there is much more to living when you're willingly admitting to aspects of life in your past that weren't so bright. Despite potholes and ditches on your road, the riches, your goals, and your wishes were more important than problems, so your vision didn't blur whenever they did occur. And till those topics are covered in results, souls suffer. The souls of our ancestors hover over us. In utter disgust. Yo, where are our leaders? Where is the trust? Where is the love? When will we change? And the question remains. What's up, Detroit? I love y'all.
I'm really excited to talk to you and get people, this audience, to know who you are, know your music, know where your inspirations lie, and we could I'll just get started with the name Mama Soul. Mama Soul is a beautiful name. There's a lot of beautiful metaphor that's in there with the soul, with the fact that I know that you are a real mom in real life, and so just tell me about the name. Like, where did Mama Soul, the name, come from?
Actually, Mama Soul derived from me teaching at Timbuktu Academy. Yeah, I was Soul, I've been Soul. You know, people always call me Soul. So when I started teaching at an African Center school and all the children called it the mothers and, the men and the women, Mama and Baba.
Yeah.
So I became Mama Soul from teaching.
Okay.
And when I left the school, I left to do music full time when I had my son.
Okay.
Because I knew that the energy that I put into the children at school, I couldn't come home, do that with the son, and I wanted to do my passion. And so I promised the students that I would keep the name Mama Soul for them. Yeah.
Timbuktu Academy where? Is this
here in Detroit? No, Timbuktu Academy of Science and Technology on the corner of Gratiot and Harper.
Okay.
Right by Operation Get Down.
All right.
Luckily staying sucker free by all means, homie. Sunny skies, I predicted my forecast. Butterfly from a caterpillar cocoon, in a room full of killers drop out to drug dealers, to a room full of fans that fell in love with her. Thank God I could change, ain't hard up to change or improve. successful, I choose to remain me. I'm a motivator and a educator, and I'm ordering my dinner, player. I ain't a waiter.
So you were an educator first. Is that the first thing, or you always been an artist and then you were teaching?
I was an artist, and I was in New York City.
Okay.
And I was writing for FUBU.
Okay, I know FUBU.
You know, I did some writing for them, and found out I had breast cancer.
Okay.
And when I found out that I had breast cancer, it was a result of a bullet grazed my chest. And so, in the process of healing, I moved back to Michigan, and I moved back to Flint. And I had 5 surgeries and healed holistically and refused chemo and everything. I was told I wouldn't be able to have children, and I wanted to be a mother dearly. And so I healed, and in the process of healing, a friend of mine was here in Detroit and said, you should come here and heal, because I know you're not too enthused about being in Flint. So when I ended up here, Mama Vivian, a good friend of mine, was moving to New York, and she said, I think I had a perfect job for you. And she was teaching at Timbuktu, and they needed someone to replace her, and so she kind of pulled me in. So it was kind of like a calling for me.
Okay.
I've always loved children. I have a degree in child psychology, so it helped me heal.
Yeah, give it up for them one more time, yo. The number one question I get is, how did you make it to a stage like that, Mama? So, you know what I tell them? I've been chasing my dreams, and they led me to Hollywood. I gotta be the baddest since you ever seen.
Let's go back though, because that's an incredible thing to overcome. So I want to go back to your upbringing in Flint, because you're from Flint, Michigan.
Yeah,
you're a Flintstone.
I am.
You are a Flintstone.
Flintstone.
You know, I
Yes.
think it's remarkable,
Yeah.
you know, for me that you are in Flint. I've always found, I saw, like, I knew that being from a place is one thing, but actually making a decision to be home is something that I've done as well, being in Detroit, when I know you don't have to be in Flint. And so, tell me about what happened in Flint, and about your upbringing in Flint, and how that also influenced you and pushed you not only to be an educator, but also to be the artist that you are today.
Well, my mom was a teacher. Yeah, she taught religion and music in Flint. And my father was in and out of prison my entire life. You know, my father was a pimp and a drug pusher my entire life. So I saw 2 different worlds when I was with my mother. You know, my mother was a single mother raising us, as well as her mother living with us and one of her sisters of the 10 siblings she has. You know, it was very family oriented, and with my father it was more, everything was about money and materialism and things like that. And so being with my father, I saw one world, and being with my mother, I saw another world. And so I kind of meshed the 2, and took a lot of risk. And I came out on the other side, you know, a little polished.
Yeah, balance.
Yeah.
The balance.
Yeah. I wasn't a sheltered child, you know, I saw the city, and so therefore I survived, you know. I think Flint, it made me tough, able to handle things and people, and see the beauty in struggle.
Tell me what songs, you know, that you can think of now that some of that material from your life is inside of. Do you have songs in particular that you've written?
Absolutely. I have Beauty and the Beast, which was on my first release featuring Tone Treasure. Majority of my music has Flint in it. It has an element of Flint. I have an element of Flint in me. Right. You know, so regardless of what the story is that I decide to tell on a song, there's always an element of Flint there, you know.
Who are some of your inspirations? I'm sure inspiration comes from everywhere, from where you're from your upbringing, from your son. What are there artists that influence you? Or?
Frankie Beverly and Maze, Nas, of course. But I'm more inspired by people, like real life people that I know and that I can touch, that are tangible. My son inspires me, my mom inspires me, my band inspires me, the people that are very genuine. So, you know, it's people like that that have sat me down and helped me heal, you know, from so much. Stickman from Dead Prez, who has become like an older brother to me. Just in him and his wife, their lifestyle is more of an inspiration to me than just the music, you know. So I have to give it up to him and M1, because not only did they hear my music, but once they heard my music and saw my message, not heard my message, they saw the movement and what I stood for. they have always kept me in the loop and tried to get me work. And so I'm just grateful for that because I meet a lot of people and it's like, yeah, you dope. And that's it.
That's it. You're watching Meet the Artist. Coming up next, more with Mama Soul.
And with Uverse, you can move your TV anywhere in the house.
We're happy with Xfinity. Why would we move the TV?
I don't know, but let me show you. Now, if you had the Uverse wireless receiver, you could take this anywhere. See? Anywhere you want.
Don't get duped by Uverse. Get the most entertainment on any device anywhere with Xfinity from Comcast.
One literature, lyrics galore with a shout out to Lauren. How critics confuse crazy with mature. It's like Tiger Woods saying completion. This is Georgia. More than rappers need Oscars, meaning Oscar my sponsor since they only selling baloney.
Especially with this industry and that a lot of the male hip hop, artists, like they get it. Like people go at them about their misogyny and about them helping to silence women's voices. So I wonder, how has that been for you as a woman artist? How different has it been being? You're an MC. Because I'm a poet, and it's still very male dominated. Like the poetry thing is very, there's a lot of misogyny there as well. But with hip hop, it's just in your face.
It is.
So how do you get your voice into those worlds? And it's good that I'm good to hear my brothers stick it out for you because
they do.
Yeah,
they really
Talib does that for me, and people have done that for me, but it's not the norm.
It is really not the norm, I just maneuver and I take every moment for what it's worth.
Okay.
I try not to judge what should be perceived as this or that. I just take it for what it is, and I feel blessed in each moment that I have.
Okay.
And so I really get tickled when I find myself being compared to male hip hop artists. You know what I mean? Because why are you comparing them to me?
Right.
Why is it a competition?
Right. Well,
I don't see how we can be competing. You know what I mean? I do what I do as a woman,
right?
And you do what you do as a man,
right?
And our energy in music it's different because it's derived from different places, and that's for every person.
That's right.
Though so male dominated, it is, but we need balance.
That's right.
And the music that I do as a mother, as a breast cancer survivor, as a native of Flint, Michigan, as a daughter, as a sister, as a friend, I think that speaks for whatever comparisons and people have or whatever competition they try to put there. I'm not competing with anybody.
Get me and my drummer do a little something for y'all. You ready for me to do? Because a lot of times I hear that females really don't have no lyrics, right? I don't know why they say that.
Talk to them, so
we just gonna, I would like to do a little lyrical exercise. Is that all right with y'all? Okay, let me know if y'all can keep up, all right? Eyes open, giving thanks, yep, my day started. Joy coming through the morning, baby, okay, I got it. Dedication and determination, I'm driven, man. We winning, so we spinning just like a ceiling fan. So who much is giving, much is taking a toll on them. Instead of quitting, they just lifted the load on them. God's grace and replacing feeling hate and occasional ain't no fakes. In my face, I'm feeling great. Getting green like a clover with 4 leaves on it. Luckily staying sucker free by all means, homie.
Where can people find your music?
iTunes. The latest CD is on iTunes, Inside Out by Mama Soul and the Nuts. But I have 2 prior mixtapes that are for free. Download at my website, mamasoulmusic.com. Yep. Oh man, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for watching. I'm your host, Jessica Care Moore, and we'll see you next time on Meet the Artist.